Hey folks, today we're going to do a quick run through of the Frost Mages in Shadowlands as far as 9.0.5 goes. From a talent perspective, we're just going to start it off here. You want to go 3, 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, 2, and we'll do a brief overview of each. So, Ice Nova, ton of fun, great little talent to load up on. This is probably my preferred go-to. Alternatively, you can go with Lonely Winter. It's going to cost you your water elemental and the little perks that come with it. But basically, Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Flurry all deal 25% increased damage. So that can help quite a bit depending on how you want the fight to go. But if you go with Ice Nova, it really just causes some pretty awesome frost damage to the enemy and basically reduces damage not only just to the target, but to the enemies around the target and kind of freezes them in place. So pretty substantial if you just want to start to impact someone's setup right off the hop or throughout the fight. Great to really control mobility. Tier 2 Shimmer is the absolute go-to. No changes there. Rune of Power in Tier 3 is probably the vast majority of the time the go-to. You do start to see a little more Incanters flow. And this is just kind of the way that the Frost Mage build is set up. A little less bursty than what we see with Fire. But if you can stay with Rune of Power, it makes a pretty solid difference if you don't think you're going to need to be on the move and that you're not going to be the target. Tier 4, Frozen Touch is used about half the time. The other play is to go with Chain Reaction. So basically a coin flip. I prefer Frozen Touch. Basically getting the additional Fingers of Frost and Brain Freeze 20% more often makes a huge difference. Some people who just utilize Ice Lances a little bit differently just take advantage of the increased damage stacking up there to about a 15% increase. Tier 5, Frigid Winds for me really helps. Just having all your chilling effects reducing the target's movement speed is just a great play, and Frost is all about control. Alternatively, Ring of Frost is still viable, but probably only about a third of the time. That's really just kind of slowing down or incapacitating your enemies and hitting them with the 65% slow afterwards. So either play is aimed at taking advantage of some of the fun utility that comes with the Frost Mage. Tier 6, about a third of the time you'll see players going with Splitting Ice. That's not my recommendation. I'll go with Comet Storm. Almost half the players in PvP are using this as their preferred build, and just being able to drop damage not just on one target but on a whole field full makes a huge difference. So regardless of whether you're in arena or battlegrounds, Comet Storm is my preferred way to roll, and it's on a really quick 30-second cooldown. So pretty fun to play with there. Tier 7, again, it's a bit of a toss-up. My recommendation is to go with Ray of Frost. Basically getting that little bit of an icy beam and the additional 2 charges of Fingers of Frost it generates makes a huge difference. There are some players that prefer Thermal Void, basically increasing the duration of Icy Veins by 10 seconds. I don't burst as much with my Frost Mage, that's for sure. So my preference that I'm sticking with the Ray of Frost there, and it's a little bit of added benefit that rolls through. PvP talents, there's 2 that are like absolute go-tos. Deep Shatter, basically your Frostbolt dealing 150% additional damage to frozen targets, is an incredible difference maker. Concentrated Coolness, again, this is one that we see used all the time. Frozen Orbs damage is increased by 10% and is now castable at a location with a 40-yard range, but it no longer moves. So that makes it a little bit easier for us. Finally, what I'm going with my third PvP talent, it's actually Ice Form. Really just increasing your Frostbolt damage by 30%. So when you've got Ice Form stacked up with Deep Shatter, your actual Frostbolts are really starting to slap. Kleptomania does see some play, being able to steal all the spells from the target depending on who you're up against. That can make a pretty substantial difference. Additionally, Frostbite gives you a little bit. It really just gives your chill effects that 15% chance to freeze the target for 4 seconds. So that's great, again, if you're looking from a control perspective of how to play this out. From a governance perspective, about half of the PvP audience has been playing Night Fae. Venthyr is usually the other go-to that we see is pretty popular through 9.05 with Frost Mages. As far as legendaries go, pretty similar to Fire, and I actually really like that you're able to kind of consistently carry over the same legendary from spec to spec. Kind of keeps the class a little bit fresh. The Triune Ward, again, is the preferred go-to by about 70% of the PvP market. Basically, it provides you the effects from Blazing Barrier, Ice Barrier, Prismatic Barrier, each providing you an absorb shield for about 35% effectiveness, so makes a huge difference. The only other real legendary we see get a fair bit of play is actually just Freezing Winds, and that's when Frozen Orb is active, you gain Fingers of Frost every 2 seconds, and you can see that kind of helps our burstiness there and deliver a little bit of heavier damage. Yeah, take a look at this, folks. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, all the fun things that come with it. This was a ton of fun. I really enjoy Frost Mage myself. That's been a spec that I was playing since back in Warlords of Draenor, so happy to see it continuing to build a little bit here. But let me know, what do you think of it in the PvP space? What did I miss on? And thanks for checking out the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Later.